why God has a plan for you. Good evening, my friends. Let me tell y'all something. If you woke up this morning, if you got breath in your body, if your heart is still beating, that means God ain't done with you yet. You might not know the plan, you might not see the path, but trust me, he's got one dot. There are times in life when it feels like nothing is going the way it should. You work hard, you pray, you try to do the right thing, but somehow it feels like you're stuck. That's when doubt starts creeping in, making you question if God really has a plan for you. But the truth is, just because you can't see the plan doesn't mean it isn't in motion. God operates in ways we can't always understand, moving pieces behind the scenes that will eventually align in ways you never expected. Think about a seed planted in the ground. For weeks, maybe even months, there's no sign of life. The soil looks the same. No sprouts, no growth, nothing to suggest that anything is happening. But beneath the surface, that seed is breaking open, forming roots, developing a foundation. By the time it pushes through the soil, it's already strong enough to handle the elements. That's exactly how God works in your life. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean nothing is happening. He's laying the groundwork, strengthening you for what's ahead, preparing you for the moment when everything will finally come together. People want immediate results. They pray for a breakthrough and expect it to show up like an Amazon package. But God's timing doesn't work like that. He knows when you're ready, and more importantly, he knows when the situation is ready for you. If he gave you everything you wanted the moment you asked, you might not even be able to handle it. Sometimes the delay is actually protection. You may think you're ready for that opportunity, that relationship, that blessing, but God knows the weight it carries. He's not just thinking about your right now, he's thinking about your next 5, 10, 20 years. Look back at times in your life when you thought something was falling apart, but later you realized it was falling into place. That wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. That was God shifting things for your good. Every closed door, every setback, every moment that didn't make sense at the time was part of something bigger. He was rerouting you, keeping you from things that weren't meant for you and guiding you towards something even greater than what you had in mind. Even in the waiting season, even in the silence, he's working that life has a way of knocking people down when they least expect it. You can be doing everything right, working hard, staying faithful, trying to stay positive, and still find yourself in a situation that feels like rock bottom. It could be losing a job, watching a relationship fall apart, struggling financially, or battling something internally that nobody else even knows about. When you're in that place, it's easy to feel like you've been forgotten, like your situation is never going to change. But what most people don't realize is that rock bottom isn't the end, it's the foundation. It's the very place where God starts to build something new. When everything is going well, people don't always take the time to listen, reflect, or grow. They're too busy moving, chasing, doing. But when life knocks you flat on your back, you have no choice but to look up. That's when God can truly get your attention. He strips away distractions, removes things that were never meant to be part of your future, and forces you to rely on him ways you never have before. It may feel like destruction, but in reality, it's preparation. He's breaking down the things that were holding you back so he can rebuild you stronger, wiser, and ready for the next level. Look at the stories of people who have achieved great things. Almost every single one of them has a moment where they lost it all, where they were rejected, where they hit a point so low they thought they'd never recover. But those moments weren't dead ends, they were turning points. When Joseph was thrown into a pit by his own brothers and later thrown into prison for something he didn't even do, it looked like his life was over. But without the pit, without the prison, he never would have made it to the palace. The struggle was part of the plan. Pain has a purpose. Struggle builds strength. Adversity teaches lessons that success never could. The people who rise the highest are usually the ones who had to fight through the lowest valleys. It's in those moments of hardship that character is developed, faith is deepened, and resilience is formed. The very thing that was meant to break you ends up being the thing that makes you. God doesn't allow difficulty just to see you suffer. He allows it to prepare you for something greater than you can even imagine right now. Doubly live in a world that is obsessed with instant gratification. We want things now. We don't want to wait, and we don't want to trust the process. But the truth is, God's timing is unlike anything we can imagine. While we may be looking at our watch, impatiently waiting for the things we've prayed for, God is looking at the bigger picture, our character, our growth, and the precise moment when everything will come together in the perfect way. His plan isn't rushed, it's intentional. Think about how many times you've prayed for something, and when it didn't happen immediately, you started to wonder if God heard you at all. You may have asked God, why is this taking so long? What's the hold up? But the delay isn't a no, it's a not yet. God is preparing you, and He's preparing the circumstances around you. There's a reason why certain things haven't happened yet. Maybe the opportunity isn't ready. Maybe you're not ready. The timing has to be just right. You don't want a blessing that's too early because it could be the wrong one, or you might not have the strength to handle it. God wants to give you exactly what you need at exactly the right time. And that's where faith comes in, trusting that God is working behind the scenes, even when you can't see it. He knows what you need before you even ask, and He knows when it's time to release it into your life. His timing doesn't run on human schedules. While we're sitting there looking at the clock, stressing about what we don't have yet, God is orchestrating everything in the background, arranging people, opportunities, and circumstances that will make your blessing even greater than you imagine. You may feel like you're being held back, but really God is positioning you for something better than you could ever ask for. Remember that nothing God has for you will come too early. It won't be late either. When you look back on your life and see how things unfolded, you'll realize that every moment, every delay, every challenge was part of a bigger plan. That's the beauty of God's timing. When it all comes together, you'll see how perfectly it fits, and you'll be able to say, this is exactly how it was meant to be done. So many people sit and wait for things to happen, thinking that God's going to just drop their dreams, their blessings, and their purpose right into their lap without them lifting a finger. But that's not how this works. Faith is not passive. It's not about sitting still waiting for God to do all the work. God doesn't bless idle hands. You can't sit around hoping for your breakthrough to just appear while you do nothing to move forward. Faith requires movement. When God gives you a vision, it's not a maybe or a someday. It's a call to action. That dream you've been carrying, that idea you can't shake off, that goal you can't stop thinking about, it's not just a wish. It's an invitation. God is saying, I've got a plan for you. Now go out and start walking toward it. He's not going to give you the whole blueprint all at once. Instead, He'll give you the first step, and it's up to you to take it. You can't expect doors to open if you're not moving toward them. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see immediate results, but you've got to understand that progress isn't always visible. Just because you can't see things happening doesn't mean they aren't. Every small step, every ounce of effort you put in, every door you knock on is progress. Even if it's not clear right now, God is taking your efforts and aligning them with the bigger plan. You may feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but as long as you're moving, you're making progress. God can't bless what's sitting still. He can't work with what you're not willing to give Him. Think about Moses when he led the Israelites out of Egypt. He didn't have the whole plan. God didn't say, here's how it's going to go. He said, go and I'll show you the way. Moses had to take the first step into the unknown, trusting that God would handle the rest. And God didn't let him down. If you want to see God move in your life, you've got to meet Him halfway. You've got to get out of your comfort zone, take risks, and make moves, even if you don't have all the answers. Your action makes room for God's blessing. The door won't open unless you turn the handle. There's something powerful about adversity. It's not the easiest thing to understand, but when you look at life from a higher perspective, you begin to realize that adversity isn't the enemy, it's the preparation. Every challenge, every struggle, every setback is part of God's plan to strengthen you, to shape you, and to prepare you for what's ahead. The things that are meant to break you are often the very things that make you stronger. The storms you go through are not meant to drown you. They're meant to refine you. When you're in the middle of a tough season, it's hard to see the purpose in the pain. It feels like everything is falling apart, and you may wonder if you'll ever be able to recover. But God doesn't waste any experience. He doesn't allow hardship just for the sake of hardship. There's always a lesson, always a reason. Think about the times in your life when you overcame something difficult. Those moments are the ones that built your character, strengthened your faith, and prepared you for future victories. When you look back, you'll realize that what was meant to destroy you actually built you up. God uses the difficult moments to elevate you. The things you struggle with today will be the things that give you the wisdom, the resilience, and the strength to handle what's coming tomorrow. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go according to plan, when the weight of the world feels like it's on your shoulders. But in those moments, God is working on you. He's refining you like gold in a fire. The pressure, the heat, the struggle, it all serves a purpose. If you look at any great person, any person who has achieved something significant in life, you'll find a story of struggle. Whether it's an athlete, a business leader, or someone who's made a major impact in their community, their success wasn't handed to them. They faced rejection, failure, loss, and hardship. And it was through those very experiences that they became who they are today. The struggle wasn't a roadblock. It was a stepping stone. The things that were meant to hold down were the very things that lifted them higher. So when you find yourself in a difficult season, don't despair. Trust that God is using it to prepare you for something greater. What you're going through is part of His plan. It's not there to break you, it's there to make you. Thanks for watching.